This lesson is going to be on a Skip James tune called Crow Jane. And the tuning for this song is about a whole step down for each string. So for instance, my bottom string is tuned to a D, and the rest are pretty much as follows. Now this isn't exactly the easiest song that you'll be tackling if you want to go for this one. But at the same time, it's not that difficult as long as you really take things very slowly and commit all the licks that Skip plays in this one. So what I'll do is go through this song once and then we'll get into the lesson. Going over the intro of this tune, how Skip starts this is with a major double stop around the 12th fret. So you'll be fretting the 12th fret of the top string. My guitar right now isn't that intonated, so hopefully you'll be able to make the connection between this and your guitar. And then you'll also be fretting the 13th fret of the 4th string. So it's kind of a major, that major sound. Then you'll climb up like that. Now after this first double stop that we just went over, the rest of the double stops, at least for this little sequence, will be on the same fret. So on those same strings, now fret the 14th fret. Okay, so before we had this. Now we're going up to the 14th, another fret, and then one more. Okay? Now what he does is kind of breaks it up a bit. Now notice that after breaking it up, he'll then pluck all 3 strings now. He'll include that open B string. It kind of makes for a messy sound, but I think that's what he was going for, so maybe it would be what you want to go for as well. So then he'll just strum them open, then go down to the 14th again, then to the 12th, and this time both strings will be fretted at the 12th fret. Down to the 10th, 9, and then 7. Then he'll play the open top string, and then the 6th fret of that 4th string. But then he'll play them very quick. So again, from up here, I should have mentioned that the 14th is plucked twice. Open. And very quick there. Now he'll play a couple chord shapes that you should keep in mind because they will come up when he plays his accompaniment to his singing. So first we have this dominant chord. Now this is the basic chord that he's kind of fiddling around. And it's a bar across the 2nd fret, starting at the D string. And what he does is just plucks with the open A. Then plays the 5th fret of that B string. Then just the top string with that bar. Then he frets the 3rd fret of that top string. Then back to just the bar. Okay? He'll then follow it up with a major triad, just based off of the E chord shape. So picture you're just strumming an E chord, and the only strings you pluck are those 3 strings that you're fretting. Then he plucks the open B string, then the top E string. Now this time, picture you're fretting the bottom 3 frets of a B7 chord. Now if you don't know how to fret a B7 chord, it's basically a D chord, a D7 chord, but you start it, that triangle shape, with your middle finger on that 2nd string. So 2nd fret A string, 1st fret of the 3rd string, and 2nd fret of the 4th string. So again, you had this E, then to this 7th chord, again top 5th string, and then top string, and then he comes up to this. So what this chord shape is, and this only comes up this one time, is again, you have this D7 shape, but now move it up so that it's starting on the 7th fret of the A string. Now notice I'm still calling them E, A, D, G, B, E strings, just, even though we've got them tuned down, I hope you understand what I'm talking about. So you've got this 7th chord shape here. But now you'll add on your 1st finger to the 5th fret of the B string. So you've got this chord shape. Your triangle here, and then your 1st finger fretting that 5th fret. And then open top string. Now the main notes that you'll want to outline for this chord will just be the plucking of that triangle shape. Then you fret individually the 3rd string. Then you'll kind of strum across the top strings, and then strum down across those top 3 strings. Now, that part is probably the more delicate part, and just to give you some tips for how to approach strumming this part. For this part, just point your finger down across those strings, and when you're coming back up, start from that 4th string, but rather than going down straight, almost pointing to the ground, kind of pluck them at an angle so that you're coming away from the guitar in a way. And what that'll do is emphasize that 4th string. Otherwise you get 2 of these when you actually want to emphasize more of that 4th string. And by coming away, you'll just barely catch those top 2 strings and really bring out that 4th string. Okay? So that covers the intro, and I know it's a handful, so that in and of itself is a big thing to study. But now coming to his playing while he accompanies himself, what you'll start with is a D major chord shape, but now we'll move it up so that it's starting off of the 4th string, 4th fret of the 4th string. Okay? So same triangle shape except flipped around to make it a major chord rather than a dominant chord. Now your alternating bass for this first section will just be off of the bottom string and that 4th string. And notice that the treble side will then be the top 2 strings that you'll kind of just play around off of while you're playing that alternating bass. Then the first thing that he does after this is play that same chord shape that we saw in the intro, but now we'll move it up so that the bar starts across the 4th fret. So start that bar on the 3rd string, and then just be barring across the rest of those treble strings. And it'll start on that 4th fret. And your alternating bass will just be off of the 3rd and 4th strings. And you'll then be playing around on the treble side, just plucking those top 2 strings again, but you'll only be differing the frets on the top string, where you'll be going from the 9th, or pardon me, from the 7th to the 5th. But then you add that 5th string, and now you add the alternating bass. Okay, so far we've got. Now here's where it gets slightly more complicated with regards to the alternating bass, and now we'll move that shape back down to that 7th fret. So same chord shape, just move down to the 2nd fret. So that's what he plays, and so with the bass side, he'll be plucking that bottom A string, moving up to the D string, pardon me, the G string, then to the D string, back to the G, and then cycling through again. So make sure you get your thumb very much accustomed to that, you know, just getting the muscle memory down so that you're not quite doing a straight up alternating bass or a monotonous bass line. It's a little more complicated. And then on the treble side, it's also slightly more complicated, where he'll go. Okay, so that's just playing just the bar for the first bit, then the 3rd fret, back to just the bar, then the 5th bar, 3rd, and then just the bar. Again, the only frets that you'll be playing around with will be on the top string. That B string just stays stagnant there. It's just to make the sound a bit fatter. So if you slowly learn that treble side and slowly get your muscle memory going for the bass side, you can start to put it together. Until you get it in time, and then get the tempo going up a little more, just isolating this one phrase. Until you get really comfortable with it. Now, then he returns to this open chord shape. And this part's really straightforward, although it can get slightly complicated, and I'll show you why. What you'll basically be doing is just an E chord shape, but for this entire, when dealing with, I know it's a D chord, but we'll talk about it as if it's an E chord. You'll be omitting that A string, just because you don't need it. You know, this is very common in fingerstyle guitar, and the main thing to think about here will just be the hammer-on that your pointer finger will be doing from the open G string into the 1st fret. Okay? You hammer into it, pull off, and then hammer back into it. So, and I'll show you basically the two different ways that he'll go about playing this. He'll either go playing that top string after, or he'll play it kind of in between, after the first hammer-on. I can't even do it. So that's in between. Notice that the hammer-on still goes on after this top note's played. Or he'll play it after. Okay, so as you can see, I still need practice with that, and that'll take some time to to really internalize in your head. So we'll just deal with him playing the note after, and then we can talk a bit more about the other way of playing it. Now notice this time your alternating bass will be between the bottom string, open, and the second fret of the third string. So you'll just have octaves. So just get used to this. You got the double hammer-on going here, and then the top string here. So a lot to think about on the treble side. Now let's try it with the note after the first hammer-on. Sorry. Now, when that second hammer-on happens, you're already hitting that bass string. You're hammering into it right when you pluck that bottom string. And now after, so that's really what's going on there, and that'll take some time to practice. What he does when playing like a B7 type chord shape is he'll do an alternating bass, and the alternating bass will be between second fret of the second string, first fret of the third string, and then second fret of the bottom string. So it'll kind of be moving around that middle finger. Very similar to the shape of the alternating bass here. No, sorry. Here you've got. And then with the treble side, you'll kind of just be playing around. Pardon me. So you can kind of get used to just playing around here. What I'm basically doing is just planting these two fingers, and I wasn't doing this at the very beginning when I kept screwing this lick up. So I'm just plucking the fourth string, third, then the fifth string, back to the fourth. And just getting that alternating bass going. Now that's just one idea that you can play over that particular part of the song. He'll play around though with that top string. So really, as long as you pluck anything, as long as it stays in time, you'll be good. And he'll cycle through that, just playing the E chord shape, then the B7 chord shape 3 times. Back into it. Okay, so it gets, not too bad, but at the same time it requires a little bit of concentration at times. The times where he will change it up, there is a time at the very beginning where he'll play a slightly different variation of the bass lines, but it's very simple. In fact, it's an easier variation where instead of playing an alternating bass, he'll just play a monotonous bass line just for a moment. But those are the very kinds of the kinds of slight variations that he'll play. One or two maybe parts of a song where he'll kind of play that little solo break. The way I showed you how to play it in the intro is pretty much, the notes that you'll need to know if you want to copy exactly what he does for his solo break. Other than that though, that's pretty much the entirety of the song. It can get a little complicated, as I've mentioned a few times now, but as long as you stick with it, take it slow, you'll be golden. So yeah, just let me know if you've got any questions, but otherwise, thanks for watching.